Hey guys, so I'm doing this video just talking about Jupiter because in tropical astrology we have Jupiter entering Sagittarius, and I think that's actually tomorrow, the 8th. If you're working with sidereal astrology, it went into Scorpio last month in October. So for you, it'd be a totally different story. But for Western tropical zodiac, Jupiter in Sagittarius is kind of a big deal. In terms of this kind of season that we're going to be in, like metaphorically, this is a very good time for travel, any kind of spiritual learning, or kind of, I guess you could say, the task of expanding your awareness of new topics, new experiences. Jupiter is the ruler of the abstract mind, so anything that involves, I guess you could say, what would be the word? Like for instance, with Sagittarius loves this travel, wisdom, spiritual stuff, religious stuff. Sometimes obviously goes between being completely against, structure, and sometimes being completely for structure. So it kind of really depends. But ultimately, Sagittarius is totally comfortable with Jupiter energy. Jupiter is at home with Sagittarius in the constellation with Sagittarius. So this is a very, very good meshing of the energies of Jupiter. So for this is ending, I think, in December of next year. So this is lasting a while. This period is a great period for anybody who has been waiting for, I guess you could say, this feeling of knowing, basically knowing that your success will be coming, and not so much being lazy and believing that like you can just sit and wait for stuff, but knowing that with your action, with your direction, with your momentum, with taking these actions, with expanding your experiences, that you're going to be taken into the right place. So I would say, depending on, well, first of all, if you have Sagittarius, if your ascendant falls in Sagittarius, first of all, this is obviously a very, very great time because Jupiter is right in your ascendant spot. So this is going to be a really, really wonderful 12 and a half months for you. I have Sagittarius, I believe so. Yeah, I'm still trying to figuring out, because I've been working with sidereal, so like my brain's kind of a little twisted. Actually, I think my in tropical astrology, my ascendant is in Aries, so it's a little different. In sidereal, I'm an Aries sun, so my ascendant is actually in Sagittarius, so I get a little confused about that, so sorry. But anyways, if your ascendant is in Sagittarius, this is really, really great. If your ascendant is opposite that, which I think would make it, what's that, next to Libra? Anyways, if your ascendant is opposite that, generally it's not like saying it's gonna be an awful period for you, but the effects are going to be weakened. Now Jupiter has a retrograde period of, I think, like 4 months, where that awesome expansion energy is lessened. But ultimately this next year and like a little bit, couple weeks, is going to be a great period for, sorry about that. This next year or so is going to be really great for everybody, with Jupiter being in a place that it's really comfortable with. So what does that mean for you? This is, I don't know if you ever said, I was thinking about this before I was making a video, and I was like, I'm gonna say this because I just think it's so nerdy, but still. If you've ever seen this movie, the Harry Potter series, there's one of the movies, I can't remember, I think it's the one where he gives Ron like some liquid luck for like a Quidditch match or something like that. Basically, I feel like Jupiter in Sagittarius, when Jupiter's going well, and if you take a look at your natal chart, and there's nothing really kind of like tapping or sapping that energy into some other direction of your life. I feel like Jupiter in Sagittarius is kind of like this. I mean, obviously not exactly like Harry Potter's liquid luck, but I would say it's like, a small dose of it every day. You know what I mean? I feel like what it is knowing that whatever it is that you do feel attracted to, whatever your intuition tells you to do, based on, whether or not I guess if you're psychic, if you just pay attention to the messages, if you are really trying to find happiness with your, every one of your actions, that this kind of momentum, this gravity that you're gonna have is constantly gonna take you right where you need to be. If you notice, like in the movie, when he takes the little glass, the liquid luck stuff, he just goes off. Like, seems like what he's doing makes absolutely no sense. They're looking for somebody. He's not going anywhere near where they usually are. He's going some random place, but he finds them anyways. It's like it may not always come into an area of reason for you in these next 12 months or so, but if you really just have faith that you are being led to the right place, the opportunities will be there. It's kind of like I said, it's just feeling really lucky. With Jupiter being a planet of expansion, this is going to definitely be great opportunities for you to take on somebody to teach, or go be taken on as a student. This is definitely good, not just for basic learning of like skills or topics in school, but this is also a great time for spiritual learning. Anything involved with abstraction, where you're going into more conceptual thinking, the integration of multiple concepts and fusion and expansion, all those things. Jupiter's really great at driving and motivating you towards those kinds of expansion. Cultural experiences, that's why Jupiter tends, and Sagittarius as well, tends to be kind of symbolic of long distance travel, because basically when you travel and you go to see other different cultures, it expands your mind of what the human experience is like. Sometimes you can have more spiritual experiences, but mostly it's going to push you to learn maybe how to communicate in somebody else's language, which Jupiter is also good at pushing you to do. So this is definitely a good time to expand your knowledge with that, with communication, when it comes to cultures, all of that. So really great time. Jupiter in Sagittarius, I think, for depending on where your ascendant falls, obviously it's going to affect those houses differently. So and not all houses really do well with expansion and abstraction. Sometimes I think, like, if it was to do with more material things, I guess you could say, like as in physical things, maybe to do with like actual on the 3D level here, that if Jupiter's involved in expanding your perception and your experience, that sometimes it could result in kind of challenges to your perception by actually kind of shaking things up in that. But I don't know, Jupiter isn't typically the planet of shaking things up in like a bad way. It tends to always be something that is increasing your mindset towards abundance, towards having what you need, towards happiness, towards all of those things, towards fulfillment, towards spiritual knowledge and alignment. So I would say in general, I'm pretty excited about this because I have just now started doing a lot more regular video uploads. I'm excited about doing astrology. I am getting to practice more natal charts with friends. I feel like it's picking up very well. And with Jupiter going into Sagittarius, there's also some other alignments in my chart that I've been really looking forward to. And I feel like Jupiter in Sagittarius is like a really great great time for me, because in my sidereal chart I have my ascendant in Sagittarius. I don't know if I've talked about that before, but I'm thinking, since I've just barely started bringing this up on my channel, I don't really feel like it's gonna throw too much off. But I'd like to start leaning towards sidereal, Western sidereal astrology at least. And if not, I'm just gonna be in the background, possibly. I'm really interested in Vedic astrology just because it mentions moon mansions, and I've kind of always been really fascinated with the moon, and plus I feel like, given that there's a lot more, there's like an abundance of people who practice Vedic astrology on YouTube, on the internet, where there's an abundance of information, both in how to interpret things and also specific qualities and like studying and research that's gone on, because Vedic astrology has been around for a long time and in recorded history, so I'm kind of interested in it. I don't know that I'll be making it into content on here, but I do feel like I'm going to be kind of blending a lot of things. It's kind of just like my personal style. So I hope you guys like this. If you are interested in getting your charts done, I'm doing natal charts for a discount right now in an effort to move some of my kind of, I guess you could say, my business online. So I'm doing natal charts typically at $77. With a discount, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the reading up on YouTube, obviously without your name, without your birth date, etc. And that way it gives other people on the channel a chance to see what this work is like. A lot of times I feel like it's great because I never really knew that much about my chart, and when I started seeing other people interpreting other people's charts, and I would recognize, oh hey, like I'm looking at my chart and I didn't understand this, so when I saw it online, all of a sudden stuff made sense to me. So what I'd like to do is to really put content up here that really spreads that knowledge, because astrology used to be it's what they call a cult, where basically you had to be initiated into the practice of astrology, and so it was very secretive, and the information and experience and wisdom about it was very hidden and very very rare to find it, basically, as a regular regular Joe wouldn't have access to astrology. So I'd like to make the effort and bring this kind of practice and wisdom into the public to try and spread as much information, because I feel like tropical zodiac stuff, I'm not like saying one is worse or anything. Tropical zodiac is a lot more metaphorical for me, a lot more to do with kind of, I guess you could say, local seasons, local energy. Not to say it's not useful, it definitely has its own use, but I think there's just some misconceptions between, Western tropical and sidereal, and I'd like to really practice something that brings both of those concepts together in a balanced way and in a reasonable way, as logical as possible. So, like I said, if you like what you're hearing, I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions, you can always email me. I've put my email down below. If you want to get updates on when I post more transits, which I am posting transits for the 10th through the 20th, on the 9th, which is just a few days away. So if you'd like to hear the next 10 or so days of transit information, I'm going to be posting by order of the sign that's in your ascendant, so that you can go into your chart and take a look at the houses that they fall in, and that way ideally you can actually get some use out of it. So I'll be posting those, like I said, on the 9th for the next 10 days of the month in November, which will have some great updates for you. If you liked it, obviously smash the like button. I'd also love to hear comments. If you have experiences with Jupiter that you'd like to share, obviously share. I'm always looking forward to learn more about astrology. It's a never-ending cycle of thinking you know something and then finding something that kind of shatters that perspective. So, anyways, that's it. So, I hope you have a good week. Peace.